I do have a dream. I do want to be involved with like the Olympic movement. As swimmers, I feel like that's what we grew up like chasing, right? Is going to the Olympics.
Back squatting helps to a certain point. It helps for breaststrokers because breaststroke, you need that knee flexion range of motion. But Joao Mescolote, obrigado for coming on. Did I say that right? Obrigado?
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Is that pretty good?
Better than my name.
Joao. Joao just moved here from North Carolina to Oceanside, and he drove up to swim with us and then did a lift with us, and now we're podcasting. And Joao's interesting because you're a pretty good swimmer, you're a pretty good coach, you do it all. 50 free, 19.8, 100 free, 43.8, 100 fly, 48.1, 22.8 long course. And you coach too. And actually, Joao's getting married in 2 days. Today's Tuesday. Joao's getting married on Thursday. And you're over here doing a podcast instead of being with your future wife. Good job, dude.
Yeah, man. Just keeping it calm, just like keeping the nerves down. She's actually at work, and I guess this is what we call work. So
Right.
thanks for having me.
Yeah.
The whole ASP experience. Pretty fun to be here. It's been a long time coming. I feel like we've been messaging back and forth and watching each other just do our thing from different parts of the country and just asking questions here or there. You trained me a little bit this year. I got the whole kind of like feeling that the experience from afar. And today was really fun to be around the group here and just see what you guys are cooking up here. And I'm excited to be here. And now I'm closer, so who knows? Maybe I'll come back more often.
Let's do it. So we have a tradition on this podcast. The guest of the previous episode leaves a question for the next guest.
Oh.
And so our last guest left you a question not knowing who you are. And he asks, why do you do what you do? What's your why?
Wow. I think growing up, so for those who don't know, I'm from Brazil originally, and growing up in Brazil, we had, I just had different experiences with different teams. I swam for about 3 to 4 different teams throughout those years, developmental years, from 7 years old to 18. I probably had about 6 to 7 different coaches. And some of those relationships worked really well. Some of them not so much. But one thing that I always told myself was that I was never going to go into coaching.
Look at you now, swim coach Joao.
I got a business degree. I got a marketing degree. Did the whole thing, like entrepreneurship minor, communications minor, and then finished college 2018. Swim at LSU, go Tigers, and got a nice corporate job and did it for about a year and hated it. And then at the time my visa expired to be in the country, I went back to Brazil, and I was still doing some gigs, staying like connected to like sports marketing. I was doing social media and all the communication side for a sports drink company. And throughout that, this was end of 2019, one of my best friends from Brazil, he asked me to come on deck with him because he was about to go on a training camp in Hungary this is leading up to 2020, where we all thought that 2020 was going to be the Olympic year. And he asked me to just hang out with him for about a month and just kind of help him out here and there, get some times. And that was probably one of the most fun months of my life. It was summertime in Brazil. We got a crew of older swimmers from my town to come in every once in a while. And then, it just kind of like got bit by the bug again.
Coaching bug.
Both. So the first 2 days I only coached. And then the third.
The actual swimming bug.
Both. But yeah, so the third day, it was, like I said, it was summertime. Pretty hot outside. I was like, I'm going to get in for a warm up. And this, have in mind, guys, I finished college in finished my swimming career in March of 2018. I was about 175, 180 pounds. At this time, I was 225. I was lifting every single
Big
day for
boy.
about hour and a half, 2 hours, just going to the gym and just doing everything that was in front of me until I couldn't anymore. So started getting in the water, started kind of like going through that. And I remember by the end of the first week, I was asking the guys, like, do you think I can make the trials cut for the 50 free? And everyone was like, yeah, dude. Like, it wasn't, at the time, it was a 23 high. It was 23.8, I
Oh,
think.
that's
And
easy.
yeah. So I was like, okay, now I need to kind of like lose some weight and do all of that. But yeah, so kind of got bit by both the bugs of like swimming and coaching. And what I decided back then was that I was going to find my way back into the US. And to me, like the easiest way at the time was through coaching. It was through being a grad assistant because then I could get a student visa again. And so that's what I did. I actually got an opportunity to coach here in Irvine, pretty close to here. Lived here for a year, coached at Concordia University. And it was really fun because, you know, with my background, we had a good coaching staff, but with my background, they sort of like slowly just threw me into just being the sprint coach, and I wasn't mad at it. At the time, I remember that we shared the pool with Dave Salo's pro group, so anytime that I had a question about anything, I could just
Just
stay
walk
after
over to
practice and
Dave.
just be like,
Yeah.
hey, what do you think about this? And throughout that experience, I feel like I started, like, it kind of leads me into my Instagram. So like then I started the Instagram. Like at the time, there's not many swim coaches sharing things, and that was kind of my idea. Was like, okay, I've acquired all this knowledge, but I feel like I need some sort of like portfolio where I worked so hard, like as far as like asking questions and reading books, and I didn't have the sports physiology, the kinesiology background. So I always had to go out of my way to learn those things on my own. That I started the Instagram with kind of like the intent of creating a community and creating sort of like this relationship with other coaches all around the world. Hey, this is what I'm doing. What do you think? And I feel like maybe it was like a little luck as well, because at the time not many coaches had like a coaching profile, so it kind of blew
Blew
up a
up.
little
Yeah.
bit. I was one of the first ones, but at the same time, I made it a big effort as to always defining what my why would be. Like, okay, do I want to be posting things that are going to generate the most clicks, or do I generally just want to share things that I think are cool and I want to hear what other people have to say? And kind of like defining of like how much does that actually influence my decisions, because a lot of times when I'll post something and I get some sort of like negative feedback or negative comment, I have to know what the kind of like the goal and the why did I post that. So anyway, so yeah, so as I grew into my coaching career, I also like started swimming again, and I feel like I skipped that part. I did get the cut for trials, but then
Okay.
COVID happened, and then I got stuck in Brazil for another year. So I ended up coming here August of 2021, but I was swimming it. I kept swimming the whole time, and the most fun thing was that I kept trying different ways of different kind of like systems on myself. I was coaching myself and training and reading about crazy methodologies in other sports and thinking about things from other sports, and I was kind of like applying into my own training. And that's kind of how I ended up like, okay, like I think I want to be a coach. But what really got me was actually being on deck and doing it over and over and seeing what works, seeing what doesn't, and figuring out, you know, like the pieces of the puzzle. But yeah.
So your why is more like you see coaching as a game, and it's like when I apply X, then I get Y outcome. But when I apply A, I get B outcome. And that's kind of how you're viewing the world.
Yeah, I think into two. So like I guess I could split my why into like, yes, my coaching career would be more that, and my Instagram and like all that sharing, it's more so other people like me, like young coaches, people on the come up, can also have like a resource that they can easily just go and, oh, okay, this is cool. Like, because I feel like a lot of times I share very simple drills, and some coaches like, some coaches will come in like, oh, I've been doing this for 40 years. I'm like,
Right.
yeah, like a lot of times we know these things, but we don't think they're cool enough to share because we think it's like simple and just like not. But then you end up sharing, and then you see, and I've seen this with a few drills that I've posted. Within a couple weeks, coaches from different programs and different, like literally different levels, posting the same video, the same exercise because they saw it on my page, and I'm like, this is cool. This is why I kind of go out of my way to make a video and post a video every single day. Because yeah, I just kind of want to make that portfolio and just kind of like, all right, guys, here you go.
Yeah, and it's also like I've noticed this, like you use a certain, like 10 drills or whatever, and you find yourself repeating the same drills over and over again. And then even though single arm freestyle, right? Like that's a basic drill, but sometimes you forget about single arm freestyle. And then you see, at Swim Coach Joao, by the way, is his Instagram handle. You see at Swim Coach Joao posting another cool drill, and like, oh, that's a classic, but I forgot about that one. Thanks for posting it. And I think that's also helpful. Like just remembering that all these other options exist,
Yeah. So I think that's a big part of my why as well, is just like, I never get caught up on how many likes I got, or, it's mostly like, I want to help, because, I do have a dream. I do want to be involved with like the Olympic movement. As swimmers, I feel like that's what we grew up like chasing, right? Is going to the Olympics. And once I didn't go as far as I once desired as a swimmer, I think I just kind of transferred that goal into my coaching career.
This is what we were talking about earlier,
Right.
on
Yeah.
deck.
Yeah.
I want to get into that.
But yeah, so it's just, to me, sharing is just as important, because a lot of times I learn with, all the sharing, like on Instagram, on YouTube now, as well.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Check out, what's your YouTube channel?
It's Swim Faster without the E. So
Swim
Fast.
FASTR. Yeah, check it out there. Joao and I were talking about earlier how when you're both an athlete and a coach, like I think I mentioned this in a vlog, and that's what Joao was mentioning to me earlier. I think you only have so much like emotional capacity for ambition, I should say. And I think I mentioned in the vlog that like before the pro team, I was like, okay, I'm going to try to do this. I want to do this time. I want to break that record. And I was very heavily invested on myself as an athlete. But then as soon as I get, the pro team, I guess Santo Condorelli, Calvin Justice, Marina Spadoni, all these, big names are training with us. It's like that ambition for myself just went out the window. It's gone, But I recognized that, and I was like, oh, this is how you get fat as a coach. So I was like, I better keep it. I better not forget that feeling of like, hey, you still have to improve yourself. Because one of the other things I noticed was like, when I wasn't training as hard, I was more moody, I had less energy, more tired. So I was like, oh, okay, I need to keep this part up in my life. So I'm trying to find that balance, but it's pretty cool that you also mentioned that, because also the swimsuit guy, Sonny Triggs, he watched that vlog and he sent me a DM. He was like, dude, I felt the same thing when I started coaching, kind of lost my motivation for training myself. But yeah, I'd be curious to hear your side of it and your take on how you experienced that.
Yeah, I mean, that resonated with me so much. And I never had like actually stopped to think about it that much. But yeah, like in my trajectory as coaching, so I coached at Concordia University in Irvine for a year, 2 years at Ball State University, where I finished my master's degree. and then a year and a half now at NC State with the Wolfpack Elite team. And it was pretty cool to see, like, with my Concordia guys, any moment that they called me out, I could get in the water and just give it to them on the 25. Then my Ball State guys, it kind of really depended on the day. And then last year, it was just horrible at NC State. Yeah. At NC State, the boys would always call me out, and I had to be very picky when, you know, I actually suited up. But it's been great. Also, like, you know, as I grow in my coaching career and like the level of like the athletes, obviously, like it got a little faster. But at the same time, yes, like what motivated me the most, it was also myself kind of like staying ready and staying in shape. I mean, I do love swimming. One thing that it was cool about my Instagram is that in the beginning, I used to post just the workouts and that's it. And I slowly started posting my workouts, like me personally going to the gym, me doing things and I got a lot of positive feedback, and I got a lot of other coaches also like, oh wow, dude, like I got it, you know, you motivate me, like you post your video like deadlifting, oh wow, like, you know, I got to do something like that. Or like you're getting in the water and swimming, maybe I don't need to swim 5,000 yards, but like just getting in and doing a little, you know, having that same feeling for the water, and understanding the drills that you're giving people, right? Like the one thing that I think it's really cool is that if you were to tell me a different drill today, like that you use with your swimmers, I could easily just be like, all right, let me try that. Okay, Sean, like we can talk in a way where I know which muscle pattern, like which, you know, where do I produce the force? Like what is the idea behind it? And so I kind of like made a promise to myself, like I would never let that feeling go away. And I know that life happens. You know, I've been having a chaotic like last 2 months of my life. And yes, I haven't been training very as well as I wanted. But at the same time, I'm like, okay, I just once a week, I need to get in and just do something. You know, I try to break a sweat every day. But yeah, like as far as that passion and that fuel to like achieve the result, I try to be careful. So, and this happened with
achieve the result for yourself in your own swimming career. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes. One thing that happened a couple of months ago. So you were training me, right?
Yeah.
And
in the weight room.
Yeah. So Sean was training me in the weight room, and then I was doing my own water portion. And I think there was one day that I hit like my best time long course 50 fly is like a 24/7. I think I'm at 24/9 in practice. And it was like 2 weeks after the 50 fly was added to the Olympics or something. So you were like, dude, let's go LA. And I was just like, calm down. I was like, that's a cool mentality. But I also like, yeah, some of the guys that are here, they're our age as well. Like we're about the same age. And they have a completely different background. Like they've been to Olympics. I think like the talent level is a little higher. And then that's when I just kind of like plug in your own slogan on myself. I was like, okay, I'm pursuing my own potential. Okay, I can be as fast, you know, as my potential, but I'm not going to get caught up on, you know, oh, I want to go to the Brazilian meet this year and then go to Olympic trials and do all of that, because that will take a lot. And I've been through that. In college, like growing up, like in the system, like the club system in Brazil, like I left home at 13. I've pursued a lot of it and I didn't achieve, which is okay. I've kind of made peace with that part of my life. So I do have parts of the year where I go, okay, like this next couple months, it doesn't look like work and life will be too chaotic. I can be a swimmer. And I can, you know, try to like, okay, let's go 20 point and 50 fly. Let's try to do something kind of more like swimming, because that will take away from, my diet. I have to be very careful. That will take away with the amount of time that I spend on deck, like walking around and coaching. I do a lot of private lessons. I do a lot of clinics. And so you got to be careful with that. And there are parts of the year where it happened to where I told you, I was like, Sean, like I'm going into 8 to 12 hours of just being on deck here and I think it was June, July. I was like, I know that like I want to keep doing the gym. It's just the swimming will suffer. And I knew, and I was okay with that.
Right.
I do get a little frustrated, but it's like, at least I'm like, okay, I'm not a swimmer. I'm not a professional swimmer right now. I do it for fun. I want to do masters meets. Those are so fun. If you haven't been, you should. But yeah, it's just, I find that balance. I'm still learning. I do get frustrated.
Right. I was going to ask you, is it easy to switch between those different personalities?
No, the day
identities rather.
I raced at a masters meet that I did not plan to in August. It was kind of like a clinic got canceled and I saw the opportunity. I had to drive 3 hours and go to a masters meet. And I was thinking like, okay, I can go 24/5 butterfly here, long course. And I ended up going like a 25/2. And
yeah,
like,
but you also like coached 12 hours.
Oh, yeah. No, that week. Yeah,
I don't
that
know
week,
how you do that.
Yeah. But then on my drive back home, it was a 3-hour drive. My girlfriend wanted to call me and I was like, just give me a couple hours.
Yeah.
And for 3 hours, I drove in silence. And I was like,
just upset about the 25.
I was just like, okay, I need some time. And then I flipped the page and then I'm like, okay, it's fine. Like,
it's whatever.
Yeah. So I'm still learning, but yeah, 2-3 years ago, I would have been really mad. I would like reconsidered my whole life. Whereas now I'm like, I'm a coach. I'm swim coach Joao. I'm not swimmer Joao. I'm not swimmer Joao. So it's like that's my priority in life. And the swimming part comes for fun. And I mean, just watching you guys over here, like I've been so jealous all year round, like you and the crew. Like we got our friends Sam, Hoekstra, we got Mario, you guys swimming at a couple meets. I'm like, oh, dude, I want to go there and go a couple masters meets with them because that looks really fun. So
yeah, November 15th, we're going to try Sid, myself, Ethan, and Calvin are going to try to break the
world record.
Yeah, the 4x50 world record. Technically, we broke it last year, but Ethan was 24. Damn it, Ethan. But yeah, had he been 25, we would have had the world record. But all we're going to do is just do the same thing again in a couple weeks. Yeah. I want to talk about your time at Concordia and then your time at Ball State and NC State. Concordia is unfortunately no longer around, but can you talk me through that experience?
It was really fun, especially like they put a lot of, I don't want to say pressure, but like a lot of responsibilities as far as the training. And I think I could have done so much better. Obviously, it was my first year coaching and I had so much that I just, you hold back for so many years and you're like, no, this works. And then it's your first year coaching and you have 20 athletes in front of you and you're like, all right, do it.
Yeah.
And then
you have all these ideas and you want to use them all
every day. Yeah.
I don't know which one to use. And then you actually get writer's block.
Right. Oh,
you go to write the workout and you're like, which one do I pick?
Is this going to work out? Like, is this too much for them? The one thing with Concordia was obviously like, being like a smaller school, like the level of athletes, like the gap between the group was very large. So for instance, I had my fastest guy was a 4,400 freestyler and my slowest sprinter girl was a 105 100 freestyle.
Wow. So
just as far as like the intervals that they could sustain, it was pretty difficult to work with. Equipment as well. Obviously, like, it was cool for me because I came from, I'm from a small town, but I left home at 13 to like go swim for like a couple of professional clubs in Brazil. So I came from like the high level swimming, then I swim LSU, like Division 1, top 15. Like we had the equipment, we had the time, we could do everything. And then my first year coaching was smaller, Division 2. Rules are a little different. we only practiced Monday through Friday in the morning. The afternoon was not required, and Saturdays it was hit or miss if we had a swim meet or if we could rent a pool. So yeah, so it was a lot of challenges.
Can you give, since you have experience working with a 4400 freestyler versus a 105 freestyler, and I'm sure a lot of swim coaches deal with that same situation, are there any like strategies, tactics that you use to help manage a swim practice?
I think a lot of times, like we kind of briefly touched on this earlier, but like I do have like a very military style of coaching. Like, hey, like this is what we're gonna do. Like it's got to be done this way. There's no other way. Just because I like to keep that sort of control. I do, like back then I used, and I still do, but back then I did this a lot. I allowed a lot of room for error. So for example, I remember writing sets, and it would be this very complicated set, as complicated for them because it was completely different. I was used to that type of set, but I would put 6 rounds, and I knew for a fact that the first round was going to be bad, and I knew it, and it was always bad, like because they're figuring it out. And the last round, I always allowed it to either pull, like just completely cancel it, or keep going but switch a little bit. So and I think the way I write my workouts, like especially for sprint stuff, they are, they require the mental side as well of you like paying attention, and you can't be talking too much unless it's like a top speed day, but it's like you can't be talking too much, you can't be having too much fun. So I think that in itself, the athletes would help each other. And so it didn't matter if you're a 4400 freestyler, if you're 10500 freestyler, it's like everyone could make the interval. It's just a matter of like pushing each other and like, hey, what's next? Oh, okay, like take the parachutes off, put the paddles, take the paddles off, put the fins. Like they're more worried about that than the actual time itself.
Yeah. So essentially, you're not putting a real interval on it, and then plus you're doing multiple rounds of something, and you're kind of throwing away, quote unquote, 1 round for learning, right?
Yeah. Especially at Concordia. At Ball State, it was kind of like it transitioned a little more. I ended up helping the most with the sprinters and like power stuff as well, but I didn't have a group per se. But I did, like by my second year as a grad assistant there, I'm extremely thankful to Coach Jay Agnew, our head coach, that allowed me to make mistakes. He was, before Ball State, he was the sprint coach for the Purdue men for about 11, 12 years. And a lot of times, like we did a meeting every week, and I would just throw the most outrageous ideas at him, like, oh, I saw these guys doing this. Like, what if we did it this way? And he would tell me, okay, maybe we can do it like a 75% version of that, and this is why it might not work. But a lot of times he let me do it, let me run with it, and gave me the kind of like that freedom to make a mistake. Like, and I think that was very important as well.
What were some of the mistakes that you made and the lessons that you learned?
I think a lot of it was trying to go maybe like too low volume, or I think also, especially with dry land. So I completely ran dry land like from day one. He was like, "You're the dry land guy," and strength and conditioning. So luckily we had also an amazing coach that wrote our strength and conditioning, Coach Robe. If you're watching this, he loves podcasts. He's like, he'll definitely watch this. But yeah, Coach Robe, like also same thing. Like he came from track and field, and so he understood, like, okay, swimmers, like there's, distance swimmers, there's sprinters, and he would ask me. He's been there forever, so he never felt like, just imposing his own thing. So he would ask me like, what do you think? And I think a lot of times it's mostly volume. That's where I messed up the most.
You went too little or too much? You said too little.
I think in the beginning, too little.
And how did you find that out? Because they weren't able to finish their races?
Yeah, that. But I think mostly too little with the women in my first year.
I've done that, yeah.
And then my second year, it was kind of it was perfect for the men. And the women were very hit or miss because of schedule. And then it was something that I had to look back and recognize that was like out of my control. With the women, I started off too strong. And I remember like my second or third month at Ball State, so the boys would come in and do a dryland session for an hour. They would leave, the girls would come in. The boy session, amazing. Like camaraderie, like a lot of trash talking, and then awesome. They left. When I was trying to run my military style workout for 30 girls that just came from swim practice, and I think it was like a threshold day, they're already like not super happy. And I just yelling at them, and it was like beginning of the season, it was like GPP, it was more like kind of like cardio stuff. I just remember 6 or 7 of them leaving like hurt shoulder, hurt their knee, like twisted ankle. And I went back to the pool and like I was almost crying. I was holding up my tears and I was like, Jay, am I a bad coach? Like, how did I not like
see this?
Yeah, like how did I not adjust on the spot? Like, cause I stayed with the plan, and he's like, no, you're good. Like, just look at what happened. Like, yes, there might be like some of the girls maybe like have gone, a little like a shoulder or something, but it was like probably like, okay, they did come after a practice. There are some like other things that he kind of guided me through. And then after that, I think I made the mistake of doing too little because I was afraid.
Right. That stuff eats at me. Like when one of your athletes get injured, or they get sick or whatever, that stuff will like, it's heavy. Do you feel that? Like whenever someone gets hurt, like I'll carry that with me for 72 hours. Like I'm like, I could have done this better. I could have done that better. I didn't ramp up the volume well enough here. I should have warmed him up better here. And like that stuff, like it's one of the most like heavy, like emotional baggage that you can carry as a coach. I think injuries.
I think, yeah. That day it was a lot about like, I was like, and it just sucked because it was our 2 fastest girls. They did get problems. And I was just like, one of them is an Olympian. And I was just like, did I mess up her career? Like, is this it? Like she, threw her back, and I'm like, is her season done? She's a senior. Like I was just, yes, I did get very frustrated for a couple of days. And then I felt like I lost him for a couple of weeks emotionally as well, because it was
lost
like
the trust a little bit.
Yeah. Because the same circuit that the boys left super high energy and like thinking that it was super fun, the girls left thinking like that was horrible. And like we were like, this is my mistake as well, but we were going like under some things like on turf, and like people were getting their knees scraped on turf, and it was just like the boys, they don't care, they were competing because I put them to like race, and so the boys were like trying to beat each other, whereas the girls are like, no, but I'm gonna get hurt, right. And which is fair, and I didn't see it, and I was like, okay. But yeah, it did take a couple weeks for me to be like, I'm not a bad coach. It was just kind of like the situation, the whole environment. So
you talked about you came to find like the perfect volume. What kind of volume did you end up coming to?
One thing that I understood a lot, especially with like the dry land for that level of athlete, like I decided that they're already lifting 2 to 3 times a week. The third lift was optional at Ball State, and then some athletes were even going 4 lifts. So the dry land shouldn't be kind of like a game changer, and it was more like injury prevention. So, and it was done on Monday. So what I try to do was when we hit mid-season, for example, for the next month after mid-season, every Monday I would do like a low intensity cardio, just kind of like getting back into it. And then for the rest of the season was more explosive stuff that maybe we were not getting in the gym. I did start a program for just like sprints, and we did a lot of like 20-30 yard sprint, like running, because we were like on the track and field. And I talked to the track and field coach a lot because I would stay in between sessions. It's just like have an hour there, and I would just chat with the coach, and he taught me a lot of stuff, honestly, about top sprint training. But
Like what?
one day I just came in and I was like, can I look at your sprinters workout? And he was like, and I was like, this is it? Like they kind of like warmed up for like 40-50 minutes on their own. And then that's when I got the concept of like, oh, they're doing 8 efforts today and as much rest in between and whatever. And it was like, and that's like a whole 2-hour workout. And I was like, why are we not doing this in swimming? And then that's when it clicked for me. I started talking to people. I started going around and asking like, why are we doing this many efforts? Like, yeah, like we were trying to hit top sprint, but like, I'm like, are we actually hitting top sprint? Like, if you're just going on a 1 minute interval, like maybe we need way more than that. Like,
You should come to one of our Saturday or last Saturday workout.
I saw
don't
it.
know if you saw it.
Yeah, I saw the 33s on 20 minutes.
We'll warm up for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Roll around, do some prehab work for 30 minutes. It's like it takes us like an hour just to get ready.
Yeah.
And then 433s on 20 minutes.
Yeah, and so it goes back to like it was the same thing. I think we talked about this one time, but like same thing happening in different parts of the country without communication. Yeah. So it's pretty cool. But yeah, so that's some of the stuff that I learned from him. But as far as dry land, I try to keep it like more finding ranges of motion, and then like I would warm up a little bit, do a couple running sprints. Every day I would try to, every week, right? Because we did it once a week. I would try to do more of like a variation. So sometimes I would like sprint backwards. Sometimes I would like jump and sprint just to kind of like activate them for the water. And then once a week we did a 15-minute dry land in the pool. And that was straight
dry land in the pool?
Yeah, it was mostly like plyos and med ball throws. Just I used it as kind of...
Oh, you mean on deck?
On deck, sorry.
Oh, you said in the pool.
Oh, sorry.
I was like, whoa, that's interesting.
That's the worst in my English. That's the only thing that gets me is in and on.
Okay.
Sorry. My girlfriend would laugh at this.
In the pool?
I say
on the pool deck.
I say in the couch all the time, and my girlfriend's like, it's on the couch. But sorry. But yeah, like so like on pool deck, we would just do kind of like activation.
How about swimming volume? Like 1,000 yards, 2,000 yards, 3,000 yards?
So with the groups that I've coached, like myself riding, I didn't have that much. As a grad assistant, you don't have that much power. I don't look that much. Like at Ball State, when I was given when I was passed the ball, I would try to dunk it with the right, like the precise amount. But most of the time, like so Jay would let me ride the top speed day of the week. And I never looked at distance. I looked at efforts, and then I did my progression like throughout the weeks as like how many efforts are we doing, kind of like he did give me a guideline of warm up that he wanted. Like sometimes it would be 1,500, sometimes it would be 2,000 that he wanted to hit, but that's just how it works. Like in the college system, that's how it works if you're a grad assistant, right? Like I don't know, I didn't have total control. As far as I do have some online athletes, I've coached club. Like I'm very like with club kids, high school, maybe a little earlier than high school even. I do pay attention to volume. I think it is important. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's just like what's in my mind.
How much volume are we talking?
I don't track, if that's what you're asking.
Okay.
I don't go like, oh, this week we're hitting 50K, next week. No. But I do
ballpark
like
per session.
If we're trying to target aerobic, I just try to get them 40, 50 minutes moving. And then threshold, probably 30 minutes. And then like I try to keep it at no more than 1600, something like that. And then VO2 max. So VO2 max would be the equivalent to like blue, like people that use collars, right? So I have some sets that I really like and have worked for me as an athlete and a coach that I don't like to give them away, like kind of like, or give them up, sorry. It would be something like 1275s on 130, just kind of like trying to hit best average or something like that. So I play with that volume a little bit. Like some weeks I'll go
1275's blue,
yeah,
130.
yeah.
Okay.
And it would be something like maybe week 1 we do 8, week 2 we do 10, 12. Then I'll do
Trying
2
to hold
rounds
your
of 8,
average.
2 rounds of 8 with like a slight 10-minute break in the middle. Oh, great. Let's do 100s now. Let's put a couple hundreds, a couple 75s. So around that, how many yards is that? Like, yeah. I look at efforts.
Yeah.
So it's like, I try to look at the efforts.
Walk me through a top end speed set. How would you structure a top end speed set?
So the way I started at Ball State when I first kind of like wanted to apply that concept was I would do the very basic that I do would be 4 to 6 rounds of 425s or 3 or 425s. And then let's say I would do it on a minute but I would just watch. And if I'm like, okay, they need 1 minute is fine. And then next round, maybe I'll go up to 115. I'm never timing them. And so it's a 25, but every round will do something different. So it would be like, first round is fins and paddles, no underwaters, just 15 max. Okay, good. 200 easy. All right, next round, let's see what you guys need right now. Okay, let's go relay dive with fins, just kind of like arms around with fins. 3 strokes max, or 3 cycles max. That's it. Let's go on a minute. Let's see how a minute looks. Oh, it looks good. Okay, if I get to round 4 and it's like, it's dying off. Okay, let's do a 400 easy. I'll go a little more. Rest in between, take my time. All right, let's go these on 130 now. Now, the challenge with that is like, when you do that with your group, I feel like it would be amazing because they know what the speed, they know like what they're trying to target. When you do this sometimes with a mid-major group of 40 kids in a 25-yard 6-lane pool that is like this, like 3 feet tall, like they're pushing each other. So at Ball State, it was difficult to maintain control. They did a good job once they understood that. Like I treat it as like the fight club. So I treat it as like, first rule of the sprint club is no breathing. We're not going more than 15 yards max. So I don't want you to breathe. Like I want you to achieve at the highest speed possible. And you cannot give me less than 115% effort. I don't want 90% effort. Because I think you touched on that today. I think Calvin was mad about his time. And you're like, it's not about the time. It's your effort, right? Like it's how much you're putting in, like almost like the RP. So yeah, so it'd be something like that. And then throughout the weeks, I'll play with the volume. I like doing that mixture as well, like similar to what we did today. So sometimes I'll do like 4 or 5 rounds of 325s, 2 fins and paddles from a push, just kind of like hitting that top speed for 3-4 cycles, shut it down, and then a 25 from the block, and then 150, 200 easy. Let's go again. If I'm not afraid of pulling back, so if round 3 is just already like, if I'm going from the blocks and it's like you're started off 9-3, 9-4, third round 9-7, all right, let's.
Are you shutting it down at this point, or are you giving him fins?
Yeah, I do that a lot actually. Yeah. So like sometimes I'll do like.
I think of fins as a drop set.
Okay.
You know, mechanical drop sets.
Yeah, like in the gym.
Mechanical drop sets. I think of even you can like parachute or destro or whatever, right? Like you go destro, parachute, body weight, and then fins and then fins and paddles. Like to me, that's like a mechanical drop set.
Yeah.
So mechanical drop set is you start at a mechanically disadvantageous position. So the classic example is you start with an incline bench, do 8 reps incline bench, right? Drop the incline right away, do another 8, drop it again, do another 8, because mechanically it's getting a little bit easier. So you're collecting more volume with the same load because the angle is changing. And that's kind of how I view fins, like adding fins or removing parachute, removing socks.
I just try to be careful. I do that as well, and I completely agree. I try to be careful with the legs. It just depends on the time of the season. Like, okay, is it worth keep going and adding fins, or every 2 weeks before mid-season, and it's okay to stop at round 3? And
what do you mean by be careful with the legs? Like you don't want to get them too tired.
Yeah,
with the fins?
Yeah. Especially like depending on what the set is. I'm just using an example because I've done this in the past where I think we're doing 4 rounds and there was some like diving with fins. I like diving with fins a lot as well. I think there's no better way of hitting top speed. But I do be careful with like some people do need to like go easier on the legs. And I know that because I'm one of them. So it's like I have that compassion for some people to be like,
I noticed that you talk about your legs a lot. I never really think about legs.
Oh, dude.
You think about legs?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, so like one of the things that we touched on today is like I don't think I've ever felt that good before like doing your gym program with my legs in the water. I've always felt like, like we've gone through this. Like back in the day, this was more normal, but like there's a lot of guys that are like taper swimmers. Like you have to hit taper. Like you swim in a hole for months, and then maybe you're hoping for a miracle like in the last 4 weeks of taper, right? And I think one of the reasons why so many people like swim fast all the time today is just because like a lot of they know how to manage that load. And I think we do have to work a lot of the legs in the beginning, front end of the season. But if you want to be consistently quick and like for me personally, for me to be able to sustain a workout, I have to really be careful with my legs. Sometimes like my power sets, I start by pulling and I would just do it's almost like in the gym, like upper body, upper body, upper body. And then halfway through the set, I'm like, all right, let's
let them
go.
Use
Yeah. Because I know that like today I have 6 efforts on my leg. And sometimes I'll get to effort number 4 and I'm like, oh, it's not going to be quality anymore. That's why today I skipped one of the death row or 2, just to see if I could beat Santo. But yeah, so it's for me, I kind of pay attention to those things with swimmers as well.
What do you think was different about the gym program?
I like the bucket system that you talk about a lot. I think you tailored it to what I needed. Like I don't think we squatted or
we didn't. No.
And as a meathead, like I will go to the gym and squat every single day if I can. It's my favorite movement in the gym, and I can do pretty well. I can put a lot of weight on a squat bar, but I just have to be careful with how I want to, like going back to the conversation of like, okay, am I a swimmer or am I a coach right now? Because if I'm a coach, like shout out Austin Pilato at WSU. Like Austin's like sick dude as well. Like we keep tagging each other into like cleaning and squatting videos. But at some point I'm like, okay, if I'm trying to swim fast, if I'm trying to have my legs in the water, I got to be careful with with how much weight I put in the gym. So doing your program was probably one of the first times in my life that I actually would go to the pool after lifting and could actually achieve full range of motion, feel my up kick, and feel like I was actually moving because I could, I had my legs were fresh. They were activated. They were worked on, but I would have enough time to rest so that I could achieve, what I wanted in the water. And I feel like growing up, I was squatting like 400 pounds when I was like 16.
I want to meet 16-year-old Joao.
I have some videos. Like the guys in Brazil, like my crew. I grew up like the 96 generation in Brazil, like the boys born in 96. We were really fast. Like a 50 free final at junior nationals, it was like 23-2 at 17. You're out. You're not in the final. Wow. I know that doesn't mean much today, but like,
is that because like Caesar Cielo had a big impact?
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So like Caesar, Bruno, Nick Santos, like we were surrounded by some of the best sprinters in the world. So, and I was like 12 years old when that happened. Like we were 12, 13. So we grew up wanting to be 50 freestylers or 50 flyers, 50 breaststrokers. So I feel like just my generation, like it would be a competition to see who can squat the most, who can clean the most. And I like movement. I like, exploring like ranges of motion. So like in the gym, like I never let anyone squat more than me. I never let anyone clean more than me, which never translated very well,
It doesn't. I don't think it does. Yeah, one of the things I kind of discovered is like back squatting helps to a certain point. It helps for breaststrokers because breaststroke, you need that knee flexion range of motion. But I think squatting, like if your max squat is 95 pounds and you're a 200-pound dude, okay, then you probably need to get stronger. But I found it's like probably around like it's probably between 1 and 1. I know it's a big range, but 1 to 1.5 times body weight. If you can hit that, you're probably good. If you're not a breaststroker, if you're a free fly backstroker, get to like 1.25 times body weight squat, good, move on. I think deadlift is a little bit more similar, primarily because of the knee range of motion. The other thing is back squatting it takes a ton of biological resources to recover from squatting. You go 6 heavy triples, it's going to take you 3 days to recover, and you're just systemically drained. Like everything, CNS is fried, just body is tired, and then you can't go swim. You want to go do 625s all out, but you just did 6 heavy triples. It's going to be very hard on the nervous system. So I was like, but then like the return that you get on back squatting in terms of like flutter kicking speed, I noticed it wasn't there. No. And I'm speaking from like when I finished swimming in college, I went to grad school. I had that whole like, oh, I'm not a swimmer. I lost my identity as an athlete. I need something to do. So I picked up Olympic weightlifting and I competed in Olympic weightlifting for 2 years. And in Olympic weightlifting, you basically squat every day. And I got pretty strong squatting. And then, I came back to swimming. Flutter kicking sucked. I was like, dude, I can squat so much. I can clean this much. And like my flutter kicking sucked. What's going on? So I started kind of looking into it. I was like, oh, it's probably the knee range of motion. Like there's nothing specific about this, and also a lot of the propulsion and the flutter kick. Yes, your quad is active in this like terminal knee extension position, but a lot of it is from psoas. So then I started changing my approach to where my coaching philosophy is like, okay, if a guy can only squat 95 pounds, okay, let's get him up to 185 or whatever, depending on his body weight. Let's get him up to 185. Okay, we're good. We hit that standard. Let's move on. There's a lot of other things that we could do,
Yeah. I mean, you preaching to the choir, man. Like, it's just, I've found all of that out by, getting hurt and over and over again. My knees are not in the place that I want them to be. I've dealt with like a shoulder injury, which I think
it's from squatting.
Pretty sure. Yeah, it's from my psoas, like you said. So it's like my hip. There's something wrong.
Psoas the shoulder.
Yeah, something wrong with like my alignment, that I just never checked. And I just kind of like always like try to take more caffeine and more pre-workout to fix.
That's always the solution.
But yeah, no, just like naturally being stronger, I feel like, a lot of times you kind of oversee those minor issues until they become a massive issue. And then I'll just go, okay, let me not do this for a couple months. And then you get right back into it. Like I don't go back to squatting 135 and figuring out my technique. I go back to like 315 on the bar and like, Yeah. So
you got rewarded for being strong as a kid. You're probably the strongest and
it didn't mess up with my swimming at the time because I was 160 pounds. And so like squatting a lot was awesome. Like, and we're all doing it and it was cool. And I recover. I think the most important is like the recovery. Like, cause even in college, like I lifted pretty heavy, and it did get to a certain point where my senior year, I was like, I naturally figured out the whole like return on investment, right? I was like, okay, there's a diminishing point here that I'm like, maybe I don't need to squat or clean that heavy. I can do it in a fast way. And we did. That's when we're talking about 2016, 2017. That's when we started seeing the equipment, like measuring speed, and our strength coaches started talking like, hey, maybe stay within this range. But we didn't have that much information. And obviously, like, going to bed, like we didn't talk about sleep, and I was doing so many water sessions as well as a sprinter, which to me is crazy, but that's what we were doing. So I feel like I never recovered properly. So
there's definitely a point of diminishing returns with strength. Like when I started working with Caleb, one of the first meetings that we had, he told me he was deadlifting like 620 or something. I was like and I was like, okay, taking you from a 620 deadlift to a 650 deadlift, I could do it, but it's not going to help you swim faster. If your best deadlift is 135 and then I take you to 620, that might help. But like 620 to 650, like there's definitely a point of diminishing returns where I don't need, and it takes so much energy to get from 620 to 650, so much time and energy that it's just, our goal is to go 20.9, not deadlift 700. So talk to me about NC State.
Really fun time. I'm really grateful to Braden Holloway and Mary Holloway. Primarily worked with Braden and like helping out like the sprinters in the pro group.
Braden's awesome, by the way.
Awesome.
Yeah,
awesome.
I first had the I met him this summer because Santo went to Worlds, and Braden was in charge of Santo, and so in order for us to, basically he was like, hey, like just send me all the workouts and I'll do, I'll coach them for you. And Braden was so awesome. Like we were texting back and forth every day. He would send me videos, give me updates, let me know how it's going. No ego. It was such a pleasure to work with Braden. He's awesome.
No, I mean, I went in my first year at Ball State. I went in to do their summer camps, and I DM'd Braden on Instagram, and I was like, hey coach, my goal, so as a grad assistant,
cold DM Braden?
Yep.
Wow. Okay.
So we do have a lot of weird like ties. He's from Louisiana. He grew up swimming at LSU.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
See, I knew that. Like those things, I was like, I feel like they'll give me a spot, like working on the summer camps. But my primary like sprint coach at LSU swam at NC State, Steve Meller. And he also, I think it was Braden's first year. Then one of our other assistant coaches at LSU, Lyle, also worked voluntarily for them. So just being in the coaching world, like I just always, I try to go to Louisiana once or twice a year, and I always stop at LSU, stop at practice. And then that summer, my plan was to spend a whole month there at LSU. And I was talking to Lyle about that, and I was like, hey, like, what do you think of NC State? I heard their camps are pretty cool, like, as a coach, just to kind of like network and do all of that. And he's like, oh, yeah, dude, like, well, I'll help you out if you need. But I was like, oh, okay. So
this is a summer camp that you're talking about.
Summer camp 2023. Yeah.
Okay.
So I have a couple friends that live in Raleigh. My goal was just to go to my friend's house and like sleep on their couch and just go to a couple practices just to pick up a couple things. And I did that many different places, but I DM'd Braden. I was like, hey, I love your stuff. A lot of the dry land stuff that I've learned came from my coach, Steve, that came from Braden. So in many ways, there's a lot of ties. So I DM'd him. I was like, hey, can I come spend a week with you guys and just watch your practice? And he's like, well, why don't you work for us? You get paid, you can stay at the dorm, free food, just a whole summer camp thing. I was like, oh, sick. Yeah, I'll do that. And they made a different position for me that year. So I was like the dry land guy for camp, and all the coaches had like their group of kids that they took care of, and I didn't. I was just kind of like free floating and running all the dry lands, which was really cool. It was one of the best opportunities ever, because then at the end, and they made it so where I could go to all the practices and still work with the kids. So that was really fun.
All the practices for the college team.
For the college team,
and then also work
so I could go watch the college team, hang out with them, and then go and do swim camp, because swim camp is tough, dude. It's all day. We stay at the dorms with the kids, so it's pretty tough. But yeah, so then at the end of camp, they were going to World Trials in Indy, and Indy was like an hour away from where I lived at Ball State. I ended up actually like driving back so fast as well, and then like found myself on a pool deck. I'm a pro at that, of like just not having a credential and being on a pool deck. I just have a lot of friends.
You might not want to say that publicly.
Whatever. But yeah, they're like, how the heck are you here, dude? Like on pool deck last day of trials. And I was, I ended up hanging out with them, and I was like, hey, thank you for the opportunity. Like, I graduate next year. I would love to come volunteer for you guys. But that was like the year that they stopped doing the whole volunteer coaches thing. So long story short, they created this position for Wolfpack Elite. So I was hired through Wolfpack Elite.
That's the pro team.
Yeah. And to me, it was a dream job, because I love coaching college. I love having that experience. I'm just not the best. I mean, you love coaching. Like no one loves doing the whole recruiting and like doing all of that. So I didn't have to do all of that. So it was cool. I liked the business development side of things, which was coming up with new camps, coming up with new clinics, content, emails. Like I love doing that. And so it kind of like, it was perfect. So I finished at Ball State, graduated, got my master's, went over there, and kind of like exponentialized. We did a lot of private lessons, clinics, camps, and I had the freedom to like on the weekends go do other clinics to make some more money. So it was great. Like nothing bad to say. They've helped me out tremendously. I worked primarily for Mary, Braden's wife. Mm-hmm. So that's what we like to joke, is like Mary's the boss over there. but Braden, amazing. Like the whole coaching staff, like, I was coaching mostly with Braden and helping the pros, but, had the opportunity to hang out with Mark Bernardino, which, is one of the most legendary coaches, period. And then also, one of the best distance coaches. But watching Mark would come in and do, I might be wrong on this, but like I think it's like 300, maybe more push-ups every day. It's like 70 something, 80 something.
He does it himself
every single day.
Wow.
On the pool deck. Like he would just like, every once in a while I would just go up to him like, all right, let's do it. And then he would go like 40 in a row. And I couldn't do it. I had to stop at 30. And
crazy.
And then he counted. He kept a little count. But also like,
what was his coaching style like? His coaching philosophy?
Well, he's a distance coach. Mark or Braden?
I want to go into both.
Mark's pretty old school. Distance coach. Very kind of like hard work mentality, but
he was great with people. Yeah,
amazing. And I learned so much. Like just one of the biggest things that I took from Mark and Braden was just how invested in the people they are. And, like just, that's an experience that like you can put a price on. So I really enjoyed that. Just Mark, a lot of times I would come in and I would be like, hey, I've been talking to these guys, like either messaging you or like I message like Kent McAvoy and you're talking about like the way he's training. And then Mark would be intrigued at like 70 something, 80 something, be like, yes, like I think that's right. Like, and I'd be like, really? Like we've been doing this for years and like you still think that? And he's like, yeah, sprinting is so untapped. Like you guys are the next generation that are, going to do something about it. And I'm like, oh, and he would ask me what my thoughts were. Like the same way he's like, oh, what do you like do for a top sprint? I'm like, why are you asking me things?
Right,
I just,
It's so hard to find people like that. Like,
I know. And
especially when they're old and they've been doing it for a long time and they've had success with it. they, one, they never ask questions, and two, it's like it's my way or the highway.
Right,
Know?
right.
So
Yeah.
I think that's a testament to his character.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably why he's had so much success. Is like, I found that like you can give the same exact workout, but the coaches, like, let's say you have a coach A, coach B. Coach A has amazing personality, makes the swimmers, they have amazing mood, great energy, great vibes. Coach B, terrible mood, terrible vibes, and you give the same exact workout, you're gonna get wildly different results. And I learned that over time. It's like, oh, the workout, yes, it matters, but it doesn't matter as much as the environment that you're manufacturing.
Right. 100%. Yeah, I mean, that's why, like, going back to like the top speed day, like sometimes I'm not even worried about if we leave on a minute or 1:15. It's more like, are we having fun? Is the music loud?
Right.
Sometimes I would even do like, all right, for this round, I want you guys to all put your water bottles like right at the edge of the pool. And then like, we just have to get all of them until like,
try to knock it off.
Try to knock it all of them off. Otherwise, we got to keep going.
I see.
And just keep it fun, right?
Yeah.
Like just create that like fins and paddles and just make like go three. So go 3 people per lane, just like very tiny, just like, let's make a big wave. But yeah, just like kind of like that idea of like leaving room for like the fun
play
and play. Yeah, I think that's very important.
But talk to me about Braden's coaching.
I think very similar. I think we talked about it earlier. Like as far as like what's on paper, very similar mindset, mentality. He's also not afraid of changing if he needs. And very anyone that has trained with Braden or has coached with him will know like the workouts are like sort of like very difficult to understand. And it's just funny to see the athletes when an athlete comes in and like as a freshman and they don't get it. It's funny to see just because there's a lot of detail, big attention to detail. And going back, I think that passed down to Steve, who was my coach. That passed down to me. Like that's why I like making it challenging for the brain as well.
Can you give me an example?
Sometimes you would look at a workout and it would be like a 2,000, 3,000 yard workout, but like it would be a whole like,
it's like 12 and a half this, 12 and a half that.
Because each specialty would have to do something, right? So like, let's say even if it's like we're doing 6 100s on whatever interval, 2 minutes, like for warm up, flyers, the first 25, you're going to go 3 kicks and then 2 pulls, and then you're going to go 1 arm free for the second 25, and then you're going to do 2 breaths and this thing. And then there's the whole flyers chunk. And then it's like backstrokers. You have a whole different chunk, so like and if you mess it up, you hear about it.
Right.
So in a way, like I love that type of stuff because it's, it's the 2 hours of the day that you're there or even less. Like, I subscribe to the coaching mentality of like, hey, like give me your best mental as well effort. Because then it flows a lot better. Obviously is like you said, like there's times to play, there's times to be funny, and Braden super funny on deck as well. Like the most fun.
I got that vibe from him.
Yeah. There's a lot of like fun stuff that he'll do like on deck. Like just, he'll get loud and he'll just, play around with everyone. But when it's business, it's business. And so
what's the sprint physiology philosophy like? Because NC State's one of the best sprint programs in the country.
I think from kind of like my time there, like Braden just tests different things a lot of times. And like there's always a purpose, right? Like it sometimes like if you see, it's kind of like the Herbie, like I don't want to compare both of them, but like, like just changing, like you jump like on your feet first and then you twist. Like Braden does a lot of that, like using a mat ball, using socks on your forearms and doing whatever it is. There's always like a reason why. It's like, okay, this is, we're doing this and this is going to be about 7 seconds of work, which like translates well to like, okay, no, don't breathe here, don't breathe there. because it translates mentality to what a race would be like. And who challenged them a lot. One of the main things that I thought it was the most fun. One day, it was last year. I want to say it was before midseason, or like it was right before NC2As, I think. We had Erica Pelaez doing 3-100s, and I was just watching this, right? This is like, she's doing 3-100s on 120, and she had to go best average, or no, she started on 105. She got to go best average. I think she went like all 53s from a push.
Wow.
And then he's like, all right, 400 easy. And then he'll look back. All the coaches are just watching, and this is at the end of everyone's practice. And he'll like, I'm going to have her go another round. And then like, he'll like, hey, like, you got to go another round. But he wouldn't let her know, right? Like, hey, you got to go another round. And she's like, no, like, he's like, yeah, we're going to go on 110 now, like increase the interval, but you got to hit 53s. And then as she started, he looks back, he's like, she's going to go another round. And then like, we're like, oh, dude, like this is going to be mad. And like, he's laughing about it, but like when he's talking to her, he's like, hey, like you're strong, like you got to go another round. But anyway, so she finished her second round. All right, 500, 400s, I don't remember. Same thing. He's like, oh, this is going to hurt to tell her. And she's like legit almost crying. He's like, you're doing so well. Like you just got to go another round. She's like, no. But it was so fun to watch, like the way that he handled that, like as a coach, like he challenged her. Maybe that wasn't written, but you know, he challenged her. He saw the opportunity, and she did amazing. And I learned from like maybe in his head, he knew that it was going to be difficult to motivate her. But at the same time, he's like, there's 6-7 coaches behind him. He's like being funny and like being serious with her.
That's high emotional intelligence to be able to joke, serious, joke, serious, because he's able to read the room between the different situations and adapt. And
one of the things that got to me, it's still crazy. Like he's so organized, and he knows like in here what's gonna happen in a couple weeks for so many different people. Like I've walked on deck, and there was like for the sprint group, which is about 20 kids. There were like 7 different workouts. And then he knows like, oh, this person has this in a couple of days, and like they're going this way, and like this person is going so many. I mean, I've coached practices that was like for 3 different pro athletes, 3 different completely practices, like, you know, in 2 lanes. It was, to me, it was like tough.
Chaotic.
Yeah, because it was Burkhoff, Ryan White, and Breno, Brazilian athlete that we had. And I'm just like running 3 different things, and I don't know where I'm at. Whereas, you know, Brayden just has everything planned over here
in his head.
Yeah. So
he's able to manage. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I mean, completely like brilliant mind, just as far as like being creative, and also like understanding, oh, this worked, like we're going to keep doing. Oh, we did this last year. I didn't really like, because a lot of times I would ask him like, okay, why don't you not do it this way or that way? And he'd be like, did it 2-3 years ago, didn't work the way we envision it, and I shifted, and this works best. So does that a lot.
I see. Yeah, I try to, whenever I meet a successful coach, I subscribe to the idea that success leaves clues. And so you just have to dissect what that coach is doing. Is it their personality? Is it beliefs that they hold? Is it the values? How do they talk to the athletes? How do they carry themselves? You know, I try to look at those things and then try to emulate the successful portions of that. But it sounds like with Brayden, he's highly emotionally intelligent. He's intelligent. He's really great with people. He's organized. He has a plan for everything. Would you say that's kind of what makes him successful as a coach?
Like what you said about like the people, like, to me, like, I mean, I'm a young coach. Like for me, it's very difficult to deviate from a plan. And like if someone shows up and they're like, I'm not feeling very well today, I felt like he could easily just be like, all right, it's fine, go home, take a day off. Or like maybe they did it through text already, and like, oh, this so and so didn't show up, and then he will completely change like that person's whole week like, like the whole progression. Whereas like us, like, I don't know for you, but if like for me, like I work in progressions, like I know what's going to happen like in 2, 3, 4 weeks. And
if you miss
one, I'm like, I get thrown off. So, and what I've noticed with him is that
he's able to
adapt very quick. And, still come out successful.
That's cool.
So,
that's cool.
Yeah.
We've been doing this for almost hour and a half, Sid.
Nice.
So hour 15. I gotta get rolling soon. So can you leave us a question for our next guest? We don't know who it's gonna be.
You guys probably know. You just don't want to tell.
No, I actually have no idea who it's gonna be.
Wow, I put me on the spot now. Let's go with tell me a time that you failed badly and still learned so much from it that later on you think it became like a positive, like a big positive, like a good success, or either in business, training, coaching, whoever it is. Like,
basically, tell me your favorite failure.
Yeah.
Can I frame it like that?
Yeah.
Tell me, I'm just writing it down. Your favorite failure.
Yeah.
And how it affected you?
Yeah.
Or the lessons you learned.
Yeah, a couple lessons. I think it's a good way.
Awesome. Lessons you learned. Joao, where can people find you? Let's plug all your businesses.
There's a lot.
Instagram accounts, websites.
Let's go with Swim Coach Joao, at Swim Coach Joao, swimcoachjoao.com. I'm changing up a couple of things. My YouTube is Swim Faster without the E. So just Swim Faster. Just kind of like trying to push that a little bit, doing a couple vlogs. The vlog that we did today is probably going to come out this week as well.
Cool.
But yeah, the idea is to just keep sharing. I think one of the biggest things I wanted to do with the vlogs is just to go to the complete, like, wide variety of programs that we have out there. Swimming needs it right now. And I kind of want to expose, like the awesome things about our sport. I went to a couple programs so far that, are not, national champions. So I'm showing their daily routine. I'm kind of highlighting coaches that I kind of look up to and are my friends and people that I'm always kind of like, trying to learn from as well. So I did one at Virginia Military Institute with my best friend, head coach Scott Thacker. And I did one at CST with Sam Hoekstra here as well. So yeah, my goal is to kind of like go in colleges, clubs, pro teams, whatever it is, and just try to highlight like how fun it is to swim and like kind of like the different sides of it, right? Like there's the times to be fun, there's the times to go fast and, throw up on the bucket after practice. But that's fun to me. But yeah, so Swim Coach Joao.
And you also do private lessons.
Doing private lessons here in Oceanside.
Joao just moved to Oceanside, so if you need private lessons, hit him up.
swimcoachjoao@gmail.com. We can schedule something up, yes. And clinics as well.
Clinics. Yeah, clinics. We also launched ASP Academy. That's our swim clinic and private lessons business. I think we're going to do some kind of collaboration at some point, right? So
I'm excited for that.
Stay tuned for that.
Yes.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me.